Hello, and welcome to the first video for Stout Hammer Forge. Thank you for joining me as I start this journey into the world of semi-professional blacksmithing. I say semi-professional because as of right now, I'm really only have the time to do this as a part-time job. Myself, I am a full-time father, a stay-at-home father for three wonderful daughters, and my wife has generously helped to fund and give me the time to work on this endeavor because it is something that I have absolutely grown to love. And I will be talking a little bit about how I got into the world of blacksmithing and take you on a brief tour of my shop. And I say brief because, well, it's just not a very big shop at the moment. So let's get started. So my name is Ben Goldstein, and I am the blacksmith and proprietor, which still sounds a little bit weird to say, of Stout Hammer Forge, the world's okayest dwarven workshop. So I got started into blacksmithing through an essay event. As you can see by the tunic I'm wearing, I do live action role playing, reenactment type deals. So about maybe 10 years ago, I took my first blacksmithing class at an event back in St. Louis, Missouri, put on by the SCA Society for Creative Anachronism. And they had some blacksmithing workshops. I did one where I made my very first S-hook, and I did one where I made my very first knife. And I always thought blacksmithing was very cool. I knew it was something that I really wanted to try out. And this was my first time that I ever really had the chance to do it. So after those, I was absolutely hooked, started gathering tools, materials, just anywhere I could find them. I was lucky enough to be working at a job where I was able to find a couple anvils, some nice hammers for free and be able to take them home. Found my very first forge as kind of a refurbished thing in an antique mall. Then just started slowly practicing at home until I was able to find a person over in Illinois, not terribly far away from me, a wonderful man by the name of Stanley Schwartz, who unfortunately has since passed away, and I got a few lessons from him in some more advanced things, like my very first forge welding lesson was from him. First time using a treadle hammer and seeing some different styles of jigs and homemade tools that he had made really got even more inspiration going for me. Since then, our family has moved to Pennsylvania, which is where we are right now, and maybe the last 2 years I felt like I've had the time and been pushing myself to give myself the time to do more work, and started working on more things, especially things that are geared towards the activities and hobbies that I do, like my LARPing. So doing things like cloak pins, working on campfire tools, things of that nature. And now I have officially, made pages and a YouTube channel and started taking commissions, and I will be, the paid blacksmith who is taking jobs, which is something that just is literally a dream come true. And thank you all who are watching this. Thank you everyone who's liked the Facebook page. Thank you everyone who may be watching this on YouTube and gives a like or whatever. If you do, cool. If not, like that, I'm not doing this, to try to make money as a YouTube creator. I just thought it might be something that people might enjoy watching on my journey as I learn more, take on more complicated things, hopefully eventually, have a bigger shop space to grow into. Yeah. And with that, let's take a tour of my shop. So the shop is half of a 2-car garage. The other half is to bikes, things for taking care of the house, and I've been able to turn the other side of it into, blacksmithing space, workshop space. I've got saws, drills, sanders, all sorts of stuff for, just blacksmithing and other projects to do around the house. Over here, sort of on the power tool side, we'll start with a wonderful drill press I was able to acquire. chop saw, sander. This is a nice 2x42 jet sander that I got, and it's for the couple knives that I've done, and even other stuff too. But it's just been a really really good workhorse of a sander and grinder for metal and woodwork. Got a smaller 1-inch belt sander that I got for doing like the handle portion of knives, being able to like take that top shield off for doing finger grooves and stuff. A nice little bench grinder with a stone wheel, but also with a flap disc for more like finer edge sharpening. A couple pieces that I've worked on, cloak pin, a couple stake turners, some hooks, all things that if you would like to buy those or commission me to make them, I would be happy to do that for you. Arbor press, because I do some leather working as well. That is the main thing I use that for. It's really good for stamping. Bandsaw, and that would be the last of the power tools. A nice benchtop vise. Over here I've used a magnetic knife holder to hold files, a ruler, twisting wrench, just the metal tools that keep them kind of arm's reach for what I might use with the vise and keep them out of the way. Some bending jigs. Those are ones I did not make myself. I also did not make that twisting wrench right here. I'll point to it. This right there. Those were things that I purchased or were gifts that were given to me. The twisting wrench is from a wonderful shop called Ken's Custom Ironworks, where they sell hammers, like that twisting wrench, riveting tools, and if you're looking to get into blacksmithing and want some tongs, they sell blanks, cutout blanks that you have to then finish forging into shape yourself. So you do get some practice at the hammer and the anvil making them, and I've got a pair of those that I made, and they're wonderful. And those bending jigs, along with my very first set of blacksmithing tongs that I got, were purchased from a shop called Foxfire Forge. But on this wonderful workbench that my stepfather helped me make, kind of used it to make a hammer rack, tong racks, storage under there, toaster oven for doing tempering. I've got some coal and some scrap metal and stuff stored under there. Cone mandrel for work, for doing circles. And some of these tools, as I make more videos, they'll come out and you'll get to see how they work a little bit more. Scrap wood under here. Well, some of it I say scrap wood. I have a friend who does woodworking, makes wonderful mugs, and I'll try to put a link to his shop if I can find it. But he gave me some, what to him is some scrap pieces of wood, like that Purple Heart there, that is too small for him to do his woodworking with for the mugs that he makes. But those should be just fine for doing some nice knife handle scales or something with those. Got my sanding belts up there. General little storage for stuff. Pliers. You can see a couple things that I have sort of on display there. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust something. The video's going to get a little wonky for a second. But I'll actually pull it down. That class I had talked about that I took maybe 10 years ago, this was the very first knife that I made in there. It needs some cleaning up. It's a little bit rusty. But the knife part I made in the class, the handle part, I made myself. It's still sharp. Let's see. Some leather dye back there. Oh, here's an important thing that I always like to do, is I like to keep my mistakes. So I was doing a lawnmower blade into a knife, and as you can see, it did not go as planned. When you're forging with coal, whether it be like charcoal, blacksmithing coal, anthracite coal, whatever, if your fire gets too hot, it can melt the steel like that, and it kind of just ruins the piece. But there's some 2x42 sanding belts up there for the belt sander, box of files that I still need to find a place for, a crucible, sorry about that, crucible that I actually just got for a holiday present from another LARPing friend of mine. And over here we'll go into the more blacksmithing specific oriented side of it. a beautiful custom-made forging apron that a friend of mine made. He runs a shop called Miller Crafts, or Miller's Crafts, I forget exactly which one. Got a propane forge that, again, I did not make this myself. This was made by a company called Diablo Forge down in Texas, and it has been absolutely delightful for just a single burner propane forge. It's, done really everything that I've needed it to. It's a nice little cart to hold the propane tank. I've got a couple other forges over here. Went ahead and made a brake drum forge, the classic hair dryer method. And this is full. It's got some small pea-size anthracite coal, and this one, and then the larger one, that ratchet forge. So the propane forge is really good for like smaller pieces that I want to get a nice even heat, but anything larger that's kind of an awkward size that won't fit just inside that, I can use both of these for, and it gives me a lot more maneuverability for the piece. It's over here. This was probably the first actual like anvil. I know it's got like the vise on the outside of it, but it is, more of an anvil shape than a lot of the vices that have little anvil pieces attached to it are. And that was really, really good. Did me really, really well for a long time. This is my main work anvil over here. It's about 150 pound, and a mouse hole pattern anvil. There's a little square hole down there. Got my swage block set up over there for different forms. If I want to make like, spoons, ladles, scoops, it's got some like riveting dimples in there. And then a nice little cast iron Harbor Freight style anvil. This is just sitting there for storage. It usually sits on the bigger one. And while these aren't like the greatest anvils in the world, if it's what you got and it can get you going, they're great. They're awesome. Little bucket of water down there for quenching stuff. I need to get a new one. I had a bigger metal one that sprung a leak, so I had to get rid of that one fast. And then down there, that ammo box is where I've got some oil for if I need to harden, like spring steel or knife steel, things like that. Like I said, it was going to be a very quick shop tour because that's really about it. I guess I'll show you this little corner. Here's where I've got some of my metal stock. In this bucket, I need to make a mount for it. Actually, this is a new thing I got, is a nice set, nice post vise over there. Some sawhorses if I need to set them up. Got some extension cords if I need them for anything. Well, thank you for joining me for that little tour and for kind of this introductory video for Stout Hammer Forge and where I work and what I'm doing. Please, if there is any questions about any tools you saw, anything, I can use those to maybe make some more videos as inspiration for other videos down the line. I'll be posting videos of things that I'm making. Really hope you enjoyed this little video. Please leave any comments or anything you can, and thank you very much.